Don't think I can talk to you, cause you're more drunk than me.
So I actually just want to start out by just talking a bit about the band. How long you've been going for, and what type of music you produce.
We've been going around now. We've been around the block and more. We've been going for about 12 years, 13 years. Yeah. I don't know. At this point, I don't know.
That's like, you don't know whether people know how long we've been going for. Do you know what I mean? Been doing it a while now, haven't we?
Well, I read 2010. But
yeah, let's say 2010, 13 years. Yeah. And yeah, been around the block. We've came back like the last couple of years. We've had a bit of a resurgence. It's still the same members, still the same four lads, playing just like indie rock tunes.
Yeah, and obviously it's been a sort of mad few weeks for the band. We'll start off with On the Waterfront. You performed at that on the Sunday. Ones like James, Red Run Club and the Coral. How was that sort of performing? Yeah, in such an iconic location on the Pierhead, sort of in front of all your fans. That must have been an amazing moment for you all.
Defo.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like, the
view
from up there was like unbelievable. Like.
Sorry, go on, Fitzy.
Sorry, lads, it's breaking up a bit. To be fair, yeah, right. It was a boss experience. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there was a few heads in there, wasn't he?
It was the biggest crowd we've played to,
yeah.
And it was such a boss location as well, and it was such a boss lineup. And the gig went amazing. So it was up there for me as one of my favourite moments like we've had so far. I think we got a really
definitely.
Good
it's one of them where you look back and you kind of like remember how far you've come type of thing. That's how I felt after it. When we were on stage and I was looking at the live buildings, and then I think I lifted my head up after a couple of songs in, and there was just so many people. There was waves of people, so it was really good.
Yeah, and you mentioned there, Terry, about how far the band's come. Where did the band start, and sort of if you look back now, did you ever think you'd ever be sort of in this position, sort of performing on the Pierhead?
Definitely not. Like, I think I never ruled it out, to be honest. But when we were younger, I think it was just like a hobby for us all, really. It started off with Callum and Anton one Christmas when they were about year 9 or something, and I think I joined a couple of days later, and then Louis a couple of days after that.
It's a whole lot of sorting out and nothing in it, do you know what I mean? The fact that we've ended up where we are, and it was just like messing about to start off with, it's mad, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's just at that point now where we're all a bit older and that, and we just want to see how far we can take the train, you know what I mean?
Done this amount of stuff, it's still like there's still loads more we want to do as well.
Definitely.
So even though we're in a decent position, we're still not content, and I don't think we ever will be.
But there must have been something. You all must have been passionate about music, but again, there was that sort of fun element to it. So what was it sort of that drove you all? Was there an initial moment where you all thought, okay, we can make something out of this, we can make a sort of proper band and make it some more of a career?
I think it was more so in the last like few years. Like, everything just started to pick up a bit of traction. Like, more and more people started coming to the gigs. There was just a massive like crowd, and there was a bit of a buzz in that. And then the tunes were getting great response. Like, Codependent was like it's one of our biggest songs at the moment, and that got a big, massive response on Spotify. And there was a moment at one of our gigs in the O2 Academy just gone, where we were playing the song and everyone's just started singing it back, and it was deafening. And it was like, you know, when you just think something could be a bit more type of thing, that's what it was.
Yeah, it was a proper cheer on it, like, do you know what I mean? It was mad. It was different, wasn't it? But like, honestly, like, I think we're lucky in the fact that I think we've always sort of been on the same page, really. As I think we've always sort of had the same drive and the same direction and the same, you know, ideas for the band, you know what I mean? So I think we are fortunate in that way. Do you know what I mean? We are sort of all pointing in the same direction with what we want from it.
What happened with us, when I like look back, the first few gigs we had loads of people there, maybe 100, 150, 200 people. And then for the next 6 or 7 years, we had about 30 people there. And then for the last 2 years, like, it just went from like 500, 700, 1,000, 1,200. And it's just like grew. So we've had this, like, we started off quite high and then we sank for like a few years, and now we're even higher than that.
Yeah.
And why do you think that was? Why do you think you had this sort of like initial sort of like popularity and then a sort of bit of a different now come back to? What can you sort of put that down to, if anything?
It was more a school thing, wasn't it?
Hmm.
I think when we started, we were in school and that, like, and I think that was where primarily a lot of the cards come from originally, and then keeping that going is quite hard, isn't it? You know what I mean? After you leaving that.
I think a lot of it as well was just like a bit of grit as well. We got better at our instruments. We started writing better songs, like especially during the lockdown period. We were just like churning them out, so many, and yeah, we got better at our trade really. And yeah, over the last few years, it showed. It's reaped the rewards. Like the people are taking interest a lot more, but I suppose it's down to us. So I suppose like I don't want to say we took it more seriously because we've always enjoyed what we've done. But I think we just became better at writing songs. It's simple as that.
But yeah, but it is hard, isn't it? When, like I said, life gets in the way. You've got other jobs. How hard is it to sort of like balance? Obviously, you want to get better. You want to make more music, do more sort of exciting gigs, but you've also got other responsibilities as well that you've got to look out on.
Yeah, that's like a constant battle, lads, isn't it? So
Yeah.
that's something that we have to
probably
do.
the biggest problem we face, to be honest.
Yeah,
That's
especially when
definitely-
we've got like conflicting like routines and shifts and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's not the easiest thing to pull together. But I think what we've done in the time that we've been given's boss, like, do you know
Yeah,
what I
we
mean?
couldn't have any more contrasting shift patterns, could we? Really?
Nah, it's murder. It's murder, like.
Get on
Yeah.
this call today. That's why we're all doing it remote. But this is just an example of like what we're doing. We just make it happen. We make it work somehow.
Do you feel proud that you've sort of managed to make it work in spite of all these difficulties with work and whatever?
I'd say definitely, like, just imagine what we could do if we went full time with it.
As far as I can make it out, so you were meant to perform with Red Rum Club and Bootle, but obviously rain got on the way. You had to cancel the show. Who first suggested going to a pub and doing the gig there instead?
I don't know. We were all in the pub anyway. But let's go back a few hours. The reason why we were so determined was because I cancelled my holiday. I was on holiday and I cancelled my holiday to come back for this gig. So I done this like mad trip from Madrid to Edinburgh to Liverpool. It took 13 hours. And I got the pub like 2 hours before we were meant to go on. I was like, restless lads, I'm here. And then Louis was like, it's been evacuated the site. So and I think it was I don't know if it was you, Fitzy, or I don't know if it was your dad.
I
We
think
said, let's just do it.
in the Lock and Key, we said about putting a gig on in there, and then they said that they didn't have the staff or the to keep it. But we went through the motions then, and that's when it all just started to kickstart, and we were like, well, we're definitely playing a gig, so we just need to decide where. And then it was like everyone was at all battle stations. Then everyone was doing a little bit just to try and get it sorted in a couple of hours.
Yeah, it was carnage. We were all on our phones, like it was just
Yeah.
mad. We were all phoning different people up, trying to sort something.
But we wanted it closer, and like we didn't want it to clash with Red Rum Club's gig.
Mm.
We wanted people to be able to come over from Red Rum Clubs once they'd finished. Do you know what I mean? That was the whole plan. Really, that was like what we set out to do really with it. But it all worked out in the end, like, to be fair.
Mm.
Yeah, so we telephoned the Windsor up, and they were just like, yeah, of course, because we done a secret kind of pop up show gig near Christmas. So then we already had that connection with them. We already knew the venue and what to set it up like. So yeah, once he said yeah, we went back to band room, got all the stuff, and just set up.
And it's mad, like, they took us last minute though, do you know what I mean? So like, that's off to them, like, letting us do it like last, like, stop of the act, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she was funny on the phone, you know when you ring someone up and they obviously want to say yeah, but she was like, because she knew that it was a busy night. She was like, all right, yeah, let me call 3 people and see if I can get them to work. And I was like, thanks, Fran, love you. And then she called me back in like 15 minutes and was like, yeah, you like, as in like that, you're a pain in the ass tone. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah. And like well, tell me about the nature of it. So like, did was it busy sort of from the straight off, or did it like slowly build to the point where the pub was actually absolutely rampacked?
Oh, so what we'd done was, as soon as I confirmed it with Fran, then the lads we had to sort something to let people know that even though we weren't playing the festival, that we was going to be playing a gig in the night. So we got on the socials straight away and we just threw the message out there basically and said, we done a quick little video outside a pub in Bootle and was like, look, dead sorry we can't play tonight, but at the Bootle Festival at Red Run Club, but we will be playing. If anyone wants to come down after their show's finished, then you'll be in time, you'll make ours, type of thing. And I think because it was so spontaneous, I think people just jumped at it and they loved it. But then all the plans that we had to do, because the pub that we played in doesn't have a PA system or anything, so we had to go to our band room and go gut it out and fill the van up with everything. So it was just like a bit of a chaotic 6 hours.
Yeah. And we also got Quayside on, who also got cancelled with us. So they were meant to open the Red Run Club gig and they got cancelled, and we were just like, you need to jump on this as well. Because they were just like looking around for something. So it was quite cool in the end, the way we all ended up with a gig, just in different venues.
And what have you made the reaction since? Obviously, it's sort of blown up, not just from people who were there, but from people sharing it. How did that make you feel, seeing people react to it in such a nice way?
It's nice, like, because it's kind of because we at the time we were gutted. I was gutted. I was like, you know, all this effort we go through and it's being cancelled through no one's fault, by the way.
Yeah, and that's probably partly why it's done so well. I think that's probably resonates with some people, like the reason that did get cancelled, and then people have thought like we've made the best out of the situation there. Do you know what I mean? So I think that might be partly the reason that's done so well. Do you know what I mean?
It is nice to see, though.
Yeah. And how long did the gig last for in the end? How long was the set?
I think Quayside done about a 30 to 40 minute set, and then we played just under an hour. Yeah, that was around about the timings, I think.
That was enough. That was already too sweaty, isn't it?
Yeah, it was broken in there, wasn't it?
It was chaos.
Yeah.
Like everyone was falling like all over my keyboard and stuff, and then in the end, I think I ended up picking up the keyboard and playing it in my hand, with my hands like that.
Yeah, there's a video on the video. You like that? You've got it in your hands, haven't you?
I had to, mate. Yeah, people were pulling all the wires out, not intentionally, just having a good time. So, luckily, I'd watched the video of Fred again in Belgium on the same day, and he was doing the same thing. So that must have just planted the seed in my head.
We had people watching outside, taking the t-shirts off and the window to get people on the inside to clean the condensation off the windows and give it back to them so they could see in. That's just insane.
And there's that like sort of slightly chaotic nature of how it went. Do you feel like, well, obviously you made it sort of work anyway. Do you feel like that sort of reflects you sort of the band's career as well? The fact you, again, like I said earlier, you are from difficulties, but you always find a way around it.
And I think what it is, we started doing these Keep Cheap nights where we put on our own gigs, like our own DIY shows, and we started in the basement of the Shipping Forecast. And it was just very similar to that. It was just like chaotic. We'd run the show, we're the promoters, we're the graphic designers, we're the bands, we're the door staff. And it was just exactly like we're used to. Like, even though the gigs have got bigger on these Keep Cheap nights, so the last one was in the O2 Academy, like, it was just like one of them. It was just like our own gig. So it wasn't too alien, and that's why we were so confident we could pull it off.
Yeah, I think you're right there, to be honest. Like, when we break it all down, we're just a band, really, because we've done everything on our own beforehand. It's like, it was nothing new. It was like, oh, we can handle it type of thing.
Yeah, and it's obviously not the only sort of big event you've been involved in recently. You obviously were involved in one of the Puss kit launches last year, weren't you? The new song was featured on sort of the promotional video for the third kit. How did that come about, and how did that make you all feel as a band?
I think we got messaged by the media company who was doing the shoot, and they wanted a bands which were all Liverpool fans. Do you know what I mean? And we're all big Reds, like, so like to be a part of it, and like the day was amazing. Like, do you know what I mean?
They found a video of Louis singing in an open mic night in town. And the video on YouTube had about 30 views, and it was our mate Andy who recorded it. And then we went into this like board meeting, and he got this video up of Louis, and he's a bit drunk on it, like, and he was it was a good performance, but I've heard Louis do it better so much, and they were like, we love it. I was like, okay, sound. And then he was like, can you go and like record like something like this? So we had a few goes of recording an acoustic version, and then he wanted to use
the original audio first, and it was like, You can't be using that for me.
It was good. Like no offense to Louis, like Louis unreal, but it was just like a very ad hoc recording, and we knew how big this was, and we didn't want that to go out. So we're dead proud of the version we recorded, and then they liked it as well. And obviously, it went down a treat. Like,
And did you notice a lot more attention for the band sort of after that video went out?
100%. Yeah, I don't even know how to quantify it, but it was just a massive surge of people looking at our socials. And then at the next gig, there was even more people there.
And obviously you performed that on the Waterfront recently, which featured obviously a lot of local Liverpool music. It's probably going to come back next year. Do you feel like an event like that should be happening in Liverpool every year in the city centre and showcasing what the great Liverpool music scene has to offer?
It was only a few weeks ago when I was saying, like, we kind of missed Matthew Street a bit. Matthew Street Festival had its flaws. Like, it was mainly like tribute bands and stuff. But even I felt like we were still missing like a music event in the city. But that on the Waterfront showed that you can have like original artists doing big things and it went down really well.
If you look at the supports on the days, like for the Jamie Webster days, for the James Day, even Camel Fat, like it's just boss to see like homegrown artists throughout the city playing on the big stage. That you got the likes of Jamie, Rainmaker, The Sway, the lads out to Camel Fat, the Scousers, ourselves. It's good all homegrown talent on a massive platform.
In terms of generally the music scene, obviously we've seen a lot of closures of like smaller music venues in recent years. Do you feel like that's making it harder for sort of up and coming bands in the city to establish themselves and establish a career in music?
Definitely. Me and Anton actually done it. Like we were interviewed about the article closing, and it's such a shame. Like we need them type of grassroots venues for especially up and coming bands. Like everyone needs to be able to showcase even the first couple of songs, just get a few gigs under your belt. But it's not easy when you're first starting off.
Especially them middle of the ground like venues, do you know what I mean? Because you can have these small venues, and then the next step up is like the O2 Academy, it's like 1,000 people, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need them middle ground venues, like for them little step ups in between the two, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, to go from like a room from 200 people to then jump up to like 750, which is probably the nearest now in the city. It's like impossible. It's your bands would have to think outside the box and stuff. So yeah, it is a real shame with the likes of the Arts Club closing. It's like a nice 500 capacity venue, so you can make a nice steady progression, which it's obviously helped in our trajectory anyway.
And looking on to more sort of positive things, what are your plans for the band in the future? Obviously, you've just had this great success. What have you got planned sort of coming up in terms of new music, new albums, tours, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so we've been writing loads of tunes, and the amount of like work we've put in hasn't been seen in the past like year or two, but it's all going to come out like what we've been doing. And then we're planning our biggest Liverpool show we've ever done. So like we done the O2 Academy, I don't even know when it was a few months ago, which was big, but then we're planning an even bigger one. But it's all going to be scheduled at once, so we'll have new music, a bigger Liverpool date, and then hopefully some tour dates as well.
And that'll all be announced before, well, the gig will be before, hopefully this year, would you say? Hopefully, maybe.
And just generally in terms of like this writing your music, what sort of like, what's your process? What sort of themes do you tend to draw on with your music, would you say, that always sort of come across?
Louis is the best person to answer this, who isn't here, but I know Louis just makes lists and notes on his phone. Like, he'll be in a taxi and he'll just write a sentence down what the taxi driver said, or he'll be watching the telly and he'll a phrase will just stick in his mind and he'll write it down. And then he'll come in the studio with like some words, maybe a melody, I don't know, where then Terry will pick it up on the other guitar or keys, and then it'll all just come to fruition then.
Louis pretty much has endless ideas, and he's really good to come into it with. And sometimes I'll come in and then I'll take some of what he's done, and then it'll change. And then, or I've had little guitar parts I've shown him, and he's just had infinite words over it straight away. And yeah, it's all like very much together. Especially during the lockdown period, we kind of changed how we wrote a lot of our songs. It always used to just be like as a 4-piece in a room, and then because we couldn't get together over lockdown, it was very much over the computer. And then we decided that we liked actually writing songs on the computer because it was easier to hear it, chop and change and stuff, and get your ideas down. So not to say it was better, but it was definitely a new way of writing for us. I think a lot of the new songs that we are planning on releasing in the future were written that way.